Welcome to the Lessons from the Tank podcast. Today, I have someone special on the podcast with me. She has the record for most attempts of getting on Shark Tank and finally making it on the show. She is the most tenacious entrepreneur that you will ever want to meet, and she has so many good things to say. Her name is Kim Meckwood, and you do not want to miss this episode. Hey, Kim, thank you so much for being part of the podcast today.
Thanks, Joe. It's an honor to be here. I'm thrilled.
I have to tell you, I watched your episode and man, you embody something. And I know we're going to talk about it today because I just feel like this is who you are. But I feel like you're just this tenacious person that like knocked on the Shark Tank door over and over again. You're like, I'm getting on the show. Like, you guys can keep turning me away, but I am getting on here. And I was so struck by that. First when I saw it originally, and then I watched it again, in preparation for this. I'm like, she rocks. So I just wanted to say good job with that. That was amazing.
I say no is just no for now. I never give up. It's so funny because one time when I was working, at the time I was a pharmaceutical rep, and I saw Mark Burnett in an elevator at a medical building, and I of course pitched him because I always have a click and carry on me. It didn't help though. He didn't get me on the show. I still had to keep trying.
You have to do it though. You have to throw it out there and see what happens. But no, thank you. Thanks so much for being on. I feel that all the listeners are really going to get something from this episode because were you like the person who tried the most times or something like that? Is that what Mark Cuban said? Like the amount of times that you tried to get on the show and then finally made it is a record or something? Is that the case?
I do. I hold the record for the most attempts ever to get on the show. I don't know if I should be proud or embarrassed, but it finally worked. It was literally one of the most exciting and scariest days of my whole life. I wouldn't switch that adventure for anything. I was so thrilled to finally make it on. It was a dream come true.
So before we get into all that, let's talk about your product because we have them in our office. I have them personally at home, and I think it is brilliant. I really, really do. So tell a little bit about Click and Carry because anybody that's listening to this should go buy one immediately. It's that simple thing that you didn't know you needed until you knew you needed it. Like, if that makes sense.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I have so many return customers for that reason alone. So this is Click and Carry. It's a simple handle device that helps shoppers to manage and carry multiple bags at once comfortably. What you do is you twist it open and you load handle bags on each side, and it's any bag with the handle: plastic, paper, canvas. You could put 40 pounds on each side for a total of 80, and the key is to evenly distribute the weight, because when you do that, you twist it back into place and you either carry it in your hand because there's comfy gel, or better, you wear the Click and Carry in your hands free. And the fun thing is I invented it for groceries, and I'll explain that story in a minute. It's because of a breakup. I invented it to help me because I live in a condo and I had to meander through multiple doors, up an elevator, stairs. So I invented it for groceries, but people use it as a ski boot tote for dry cleaning, for paint cans and construction pails, carrying sports equipment, dry cleaning. But here's my newest and favorite, and it's from a customer. You twist it open, and once you get it home, it's a stand for your phone or your iPad.
If you guys are not, if you're listening and you did not watch this on video, you need to go on YouTube, watch the video, because what she just did was amazing. I'm always like propping my phone up with different things, and that is great. It's perfect.
Who knew, right?
Who knew? I do have a story. So I travel a lot. So I fly a lot. And I saw somebody, I'm walking past them. Like, I'm walking one direction, another direction. So I'm in the airport. And I saw a woman who had a Click and Carry on her shoulder, diaper bag on one side and purse on the other. And I did a double take, and then I went over and asked if it was a Click and Carry. And she's like, "It is." I'm like, I kind of know Kim. Like, it's like, and so it was just the coolest thing. I love seeing Shark Tank products out in the wild. And And that was just one where I just had to ask because I don't know if people have tried to rip it off or anything, but it was the original click and carry, and I was so proud to know you.
Oh, thank you. That makes my day. Isn't it funny when you hear positive feedback? I had a testimonial the other day from someone who has rheumatoid arthritis, and he said that click and carry gave him his power back, which
Oh wow.
may seem silly to us, but hey, if you can make someone's day a little bit better, you're the winner, and that's just what you do with your amazing product. So.
Well, thanks. Well, and you heard, I mean, as part of when we were getting set up on the podcast, my team here, because we do a lot of traveling, we take gear out. They use it for stuff around here, like their bags and stuff. They'll put them onto a click and carry and carry it into different conferences that we do and stuff. So, and again, it's just such a neat thing
Thank you.
to have that connection. But so so I personally, when I get groceries before click and carry, which now lives in the back of my wife's Jeep, like there's just one that sits there. But I used to like put them all in my hands and then I would like wrap the handles around and I'd have like a finger that would turn purple. Um, so this alleviates all of that. And I assume that is kind of what you were like the challenge that you were trying to overcome. And you told a story on the show about you had a dream. Can you share a little bit about how
Sure,
you came
sure.
up with the concept?
Yep. So I had this boyfriend, and we lived together, and when I would come home, I would call him, and he would come down and get all the groceries. So when we broke up, I had to carry my own groceries, and
You're like, man, he was.
I know that was seriously, that's Matt was fantastic for carrying in the groceries. So I
You're like
started
pros
eating
and
all the
cons of the guy. Like he carries in the groceries. But,
Yeah,
sorry.
so really, this is a guy replacement is what click and carry is. Um, but I knew I wanted something that would help me bring in the groceries, and I'm the kind of person where I think peripherally we have this we take in all of these cues from the world, and I knew I wanted to solve a problem, and when I'm relaxed and sleeping, the best ideas come to me in my dreams. And in my dream, I dreamt of the click and carry, but it was just the bottom portion. And it was true to the shape of the click and carry. But the problem with an open version is that when you set the click and carry down, the bags would pop
Mm.
out. So I needed to have a top. So my next iteration was a magnetic click and carry with two pieces. But I knew that if I had two pieces, that people would lose one of the two pieces, or God forbid a kid could get hurt on it. So I knew that it had to be a unit that just twists open. So this is patterned after a barrette, believe it or
Ha,
not,
no
that
kidding.
I would hold my hair into. So this is actually the 9th iteration, and it was the winner. It was the one that awarded me a utility patent.
That's fantastic. So, first of all, the fact that it took you 9 iterations, right? Which is, that's I don't want to say it's uncommon, you know what I mean? But that's a lot. I mean, for especially
Mhm.
for somebody that isn't in the R&D world. I mean, it's not like you had a big click and carry lab where you're like, oh, well, let's try this version. Let's try this version. You're just doing this on your own, I assume, right?
Absolutely. And here's a little word of advice to other entrepreneurs out there. Take advantage of free and community, what is, um, wow, can we cut that out?
Like they have like incubators. Is that what you know?
Wow, I'm so sorry about that.
That's all right.
My mind just went blank. There's so many different programs out there. For example, I actually utilized a student at the Pasadena Design School. She was studying product design. She was getting her master's, and Audrey was able to do the 3D CAD printing for me. And each of my iterations was about $200, but out in the real world, that would have been about $2,000
Hmm.
an iteration. So it ended up costing me $2,000 for all 9 of them. But in addition to that, there are so many other groups like SCORE that would give you access to a CEO who is retired and wants to share their amazing knowledge with you, or the SBA who can help you with running your numbers or your pricing strategies, different channels of distribution. So there's so many different communities out there that we can utilize for help in bringing our product to market.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, some of the work that in the R&D side, I called on, favors and people that I knew in our in the window and door industry, and just said, "Hey, can you possibly help me out with this? I'm trying to do something new," and if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So, go out there and
Absolutely.
try to get some help, and that's great advice.
Oh, and if I could add one more, there's a group I speak to usually yearly, and it's the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And I speak at a conference. Last year, I spoke to a group of librarians at the Patent and Trademark Resource Centers. There's a Patent and Trademark Resource Center in every state. Some states have two. And if you're looking to file a patent or to do research to find out if your idea is already out there, these librarians are trained to help you and facilitate you in writing your patent. So there's so many amazing resources out there that we can utilize for free.
Yeah, and it is like I talked to Tiffany Crummins from
Mhm.
season one, episode one, way back, and we talked about patents and even the different types of patents, and people think that getting a patent or at least getting on the path is going to cost you $20,000, $30,000. Um, it doesn't have to be that way. There's
That's
certainly
it.
ways that you can cut that cost down dramatically and do a lot of the work on your own.
Absolutely.
So, so you came up with this 9 iterations. It took you 9 iterations. You come up with this fantastic product, right? And you're working full time, so you have this cool product. And then you're probably like everybody else that has invented something. Somebody says you should go on Shark Tank, right? I've heard that a million times. I'm sure you did too.
I did.
And you took it to heart, though. You're like, "Yep, I'm going to give that a try." And
Mhm.
so, how did that experience go?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny because the first time I auditioned, I was working with the producers, and at the 11th hour, I was X'd from the show. And I wish I put up a fight then, but it just wasn't the right time. And things always work out the way they're supposed to. It was a blessing in disguise for me. But I didn't apply the next year
Well,
because
hold
they,
on one second, just so we can explain to any of the listeners that haven't, that don't understand this. Through Shark Tank, when they say, "Hey, this is something that we might want to possibly maybe put on the show," you start working with producers, and through the whole experience, all the way up through you aired in front of or not aired, but you shot in front of the sharks. There's this opportunity that you just go away. That they talk to more people than they bring out to LA. They bring more people out to LA than they'll actually shoot. They shoot more people than will actually air. And so you have this constant anxiety through the whole thing of, maybe I'm going to be that person who gets cut at the 11th hour. And that happened to you. And I'm so sorry for that because that would have been devastating. Like, I can't imagine going through all of that and like the feeling of, oh, I guess it's over. So,
it was devastating, and I should have put up a fight. And subsequently, it happened to me again because I don't know if you noticed, but my episode for season 12 was actually from season 11. So I didn't make it to air in season 11. And what happened is COVID. And as a
right.
result, ABC bought the episode and I aired in season 12, thank goodness. And it was perfect timing for me. Um, I wouldn't have been ready if it had aired in season 11. So yeah, it was a lot of heartache, that's for sure. And when I didn't make it to air, they told me they'd call me the year after, so I didn't audition. And then what happened is that producer left the show, so they he wasn't there to call me.
Right.
And so what I had to just audition every year until I was finally selected to make it to air.
So when you say every year, 2 years in a row, you auditioned, maybe 3 years. Like how many times? And I'm setting you up. I know how many times it was, but how many times did you audition until finally you aired?
I auditioned, I'd say 7 or 8 times.
7 or 8 times. There is an amount of stubbornness in you that is. I hope to emulate someday. I have some of it in me, but oh my goodness, I just can't imagine that, over and over again, and especially getting to the point you were, and then not making it past that point, and then getting up there again, and then not make. Oh my goodness, that would be so frustrating.
I know. Well, my motto is no is just no for now. You can't give up, but it was frustrating. I mean, I was to the point where I had it so down that I would just pick up my answers from the previous year, make a few modifications, and then resubmit. So I mean, I knew the process. It's funny because the head casting agent left the show about 4 years ago, and he told me, you're never going to make it on the show. And he did that because I think he was casting for a different show, and I went on this terrible show called Food Fortunes, because he told me I would never make it onto Shark Tank, and I knew that I needed the publicity, I needed the product awareness.
Right.
So so I went on that show, and that year I was disqualified from Shark Tank. So the 7 or 8 years were not consecutive 7 or 8 years.
Oh my goodness, that is wow. So okay, so we're going to talk about your tenacity here in a few minutes, but all right. So you get on the show, and immediately, and again, anybody that's listening, they shoot for a lot longer than the 12 or 13 minutes that we get to on air. So how long were you in there for?
About 50 minutes.
Okay, so close to an hour. You were in there, and how soon before Robert actually came out and said, "No, I'm not interested"? Like, it makes it seem like you got like halfway through your pitch, and he's like, I'm out." I mean, I'm sure that didn't happen that way,
It
but
didn't. And it's funny because the way they edited it, it seems that Lori went out right away, and it was really Lori and Barbara kind of asking the questions all along.
right.
And Lori didn't go out until the very last minute. So it's all in the way they edit it, but the group was fantastic. Even Mr. Wonderful was nice to me, kind of.
Kind of.
Um,
He plays a character. He he is what he is. But yeah. So the so you started you started your pitch and all that stuff, and you had a couple people go out. You remained very optimistic, and very positive, and you did all the things that the producers tell us to do, which is reframe and keep your message going, even if somebody. How tough was that to do in that situation?
so it was a dream come true just to be there. So even if
Sure.
I didn't make a deal, I was just happy to be there to finally fulfill my dream. I love that show. I think Shark Tank is fantastic, obviously, and I was just thrilled to be there. And there was a point where Barbara made me the horrible deal, and
Horrible deal. Horrible.
horrible. You could see the blood drain out of my face, and I look at the program, and I think, oh my gosh, I felt so sorry for myself in that moment, and that was the one point where I was defeated, and I lost it a little bit, and that's what I said. No, I'm sorry. This is my baby, and
Sure.
I know the value. I know that it's an amazing product. It helps so many people, and I have so many other ideas. So I just decided to tell my truth and to say that hey, this is something I really believe in, and no, I'm not going to accept a lousy deal like that. And luckily, they turned it around with a good deal.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember the first time I was watching, I'm like, "Don't take it, don't take it, don't take it." Like, because again, as when you're on the show, like I become personally like invested in people that I see now, because we've been there, done that, right? We know what it feels like, and I'm like, no, 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 don't do it. And then you like turned it down. I'm like, great, awesome. That's right. You stick with your stay strong, stay strong. And then they have like the shot of Barbara and Mark, talking to each other, and I'm like, ooh, there's something good coming. And again, all the creative editing, I get it. Shark Tank's a show, and they have to do that, and I appreciate that because it keeps the show on air. But so did you see them talking? Like, did you see them whispering to each other, and you're like, oh, wait, there's something coming?
I did, and I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it was all going on while Lori was going out, and she had a very long dissertation. When she went out, she talked about QVC, and honestly, I wasn't going in there for Lori because I already was on QVC and had success on QVC. But what I didn't realize is that to to be to have your reels play on QVC, you have to have a deal with Lori or Mr. Wonderful. So
Hmm.
looking back now, Lori would have been a good choice too, but in my head, I thought, oh, gosh, I don't need Lori because I'm already on QVC. But she was giving her dissertation, and she was very sweet and kind and said some nice things. And I really love Lori. But while she was saying no and letting me down softly, I saw those two communicating. So I was thrilled because I love Mark Cuban. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, Pittsburgh boy. I'm a Pittsburgh guy. I really appreciate Mark, um, and so I do think I first of all one thing again, if you're listening. And you haven't heard us talk about this. The Sharks are actually really gracious. They really are. You know,
They
they
are.
don't. Sometimes with the editing, it comes across that they're harsh, and I think sometimes they are because people just like you don't know your numbers or whatever. But for people that are prepared and in there and passionate, they're really gracious, um, and
They
they're
are.
really great people, and they really do want to understand your business, and so I could see, again, even with some of the comments that Mark was making, I'm like, I think he might jump in here, and so he
I was
did, and you got a deal, which is fantastic. So tell us what the deal was.
So I ended up getting $225,000 dollars for 40% of my business. I went in with 15%, but it ended up being 40%.
And I mean, again, one of the things with, even accepting a larger percentage or something like that, there's so many benefits to having the Sharks on your side that, I think you nailed it. I think you did a great job, with
Thank
everything
you.
that you did. So,
Thank you. The Sharks were wonderful. It was seriously the best day of my life. And I, I think Barbara's a doll, all of them. Robert was amazing. They were all just fantastic.
did you have that surreal moment when when an offer came through that you're like, I might accept it. Like, I might be getting a deal right now. Like, did you have that internal dialogue? Because I had that happening. Like, when they were like, I'd like to make you an offer. I'm like, are you talking to me? Like, is this really happening right now? Did you have that same out of body experience?
I did. I was absolutely thrilled, obviously, and I didn't even try to counter because I was just so thrilled to have the deal. Although afterwards I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, I hope people don't think I'm stupid for not fighting for more." I mean, it was Mark and Barbara,
Right.
right? And the fun thing is for my episode, all of the casting agents came in and watched because they knew me for so many years. So
You worked with all of them.
I had a bunch of cheerleaders in the audience. It was just amazing. And it took everything in me not to cry because I was just so happy. I did cry afterwards because I was thrilled and
Oh
tears of
yeah.
joy. But yeah, I really had to keep it together. But the funny thing is, afterwards, the producers come and ask you for a couple of words of wisdom. And
Mhm.
I was just depleted. I had nothing left in me. My brain wasn't functioning. So I was happy that they threw something together at the end where he said, I am the winner.
I went through the same thing because I was in there for a long time. I was in there for almost 3 hours in front of
What?
them.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
and so like when by the time we got to the hey, do you have some words? And I'm like, just tell me what you want me to say. Like I have nothing left in me. Like I don't know what like what's your reaction? I'm like I don't know. I need to go to bed. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm exhausted.
That was me 100%. And in fact, it's funny because at one point during my 50 minutes on stage, I lost all saliva. I ran out of saliva. And luckily I hit a bottle of water off stage, and you can't leave the stage, but I did it anyway. I didn't realize you couldn't leave the stage, and the Sharks were hysterical because that's a big no-no. But I couldn't talk anymore. I was
Right.
done. I was out of saliva.
They're like, where in the heck is she going? Like, that's
Yep,
awesome.
I left.
Like, it took her 8 years to get here. Now she just walked off the set.
Yeah, they're like, "What is she doing?" I couldn't help it. Advice for anyone who's gonna be a contestant on Shark Tank, hide some water on your body somewhere.
Yes.
Make sure you have a bottle of water.
Or be well hydrated back in the, back in the on deck area. Be very well hydrated. So, all right. So let's talk for the next couple minutes. Well, first of all, I want to talk about a special click and carry that you're doing because one of the things that FlexScreen and me personally, we always talk about giving back, and I know that you're doing something special that is near and dear to you that that people can order and help to uh, help other people. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm a two-time breast cancer survivor, and I think that's why my motto is no is just no for now. Like I'm not gonna take a cancer diagnosis as the end all be all. I was gonna fight through it. So I did, and I actually unfortunately had it return in March of this year. So I just finished radiation in August. I'm all better now, knock wood. Thank God. I hope it continues that way. But when you go through something like breast cancer, you realize that nothing is insurmountable. You can do anything. If you could get through that, you could get through anything, and that's how I live my life. And so, as a way to give back, I actually made a special breast cancer click and carry. It's the pink ribbon click and carry. If you see it on my website or on Amazon, and I donate 10% of the proceeds to the NBCC, which is the National Breast Cancer Coalition, because they're putting a lot of money into research. They're developing a way to prevent breast cancer from happening to anyone in the future with new technological advances in medicine. It's pretty amazing. So that's where I donate my money because I don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through. It's horrible. And so buy yourself a pink ribbon click and carry.
Absolutely, and we will on the show notes for this podcast we'll put we'll put oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank now. We'll put links to both the regular click and carries and then also the breast cancer one. So, but no, that's fantastic that you are giving back, and especially in this journey because your company is still you're still in growth mode, and so to give away 10% of the proceeds of a product, I mean that's substantial. So kudos to you. That's awesome.
Thank you. And just to be clear, Joe, it's just the breast cancer one,
Yep,
but it does make an impact, and especially
absolutely.
during the month of October when breast cancer awareness is promoted.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, this is a great segue because you were talking about the perspective that you got going through that diagnosis and battling that where what having the Shark Tank producers tell you no, you're like. "Pfft, whatever." Like, do you know what I went through? Like, this is nothing. Like, hey, I'll be back next year. Like, expect me. I mean, that perspective, it sounds like has served you really, really well through everything that you're not just the diagnosis, but through the business side. Would you agree?
100%, because I just let things slide off me. I'm being redundant, but no really is just no for now. I just keep going back, and eventually they're going to either get sick of me and let me into their retail store or let me onto the show, or I'm going to just keep coming back.
Right. Yeah,
Don't give up.
and that as anybody that's listening that is a budding entrepreneur, wants to be an entrepreneur, or is in the middle of an entrepreneurial journey, or even just a leadership journey of any sort, tenacity is one of the. If I had to rank the things that helped make my company successful, it is the tenacity that I and my team put forward in the I don't want to say dark times, but in the lean years and in the startup phase, all of those types of things. If we weren't willing to keep, banging against doors that seemed closed to us, we would have failed a long, long time ago. And I have a feeling that you have a similar feeling.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, even just making the big jump to quit my job because I had a really lucrative career and it gave me peace of mind to know I had great health insurance and I could pay my mortgage. To quit my job a month before my episode aired because in preparation for the show, that was a big step in my life. That was really scary. But I'm all in. This is it. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to make Click and Carry successful. And before we started our podcast, I told you I'm going to make a move. Also, I'm moving home because I have family in Pennsylvania, and they could help me with Click and Carry. I need all the help I can get because I'm going to make this a huge success. And I'm just jumping all in on this one. And that's what you have to do. You have to keep knocking on doors and keep telling everyone about your product, putting the awareness out there. You can't say no. Just keep going. Just move forward.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people that either have inventions, ideas, or they want to start a business, and they're like, "Hey, what is the one piece of advice that you have?" And I'm like, "I can't give you one, but here's like it's like a dual one. First of all, if you can still continue working." Continue working. Like having something that is a side hustle is a low risk of entry into any sort of business. But from the other side, talking out of the other side of my mouth, the sooner that you can pull that that ripcord and jump out of the plane and hope that your parachute works, the better off you are. Because when we started Flex Screen, this became my full-time job immediately. It was part of the package with my first investors. They said, "Look, we'll invest money, but this has to be everything that you do."
Your
And
focus.
that was really scary. I wish that
It's
I could have
scary.
I could have had this as a side hustle for a while, but man, did that focus me. There was no going back. I mean, I had burned the ships. Like we were either going forward or dying. So that
Yeah.
was it.
It's
And so now
scary though.
you're in that stage. How does it feel that you're like, this is it for you?
It's scary, but I have to tell you that things are all falling into place. So I know that it's meant to be, but it's definitely scary. I'm used to being able to spend money on all different things, and now I'm just operating a more lean ship. I have to make sure I meet my goals. For example, last year my goal was to be in 5 new retailers. Mission accomplished, but now I have new goals for this year. And the hardest decision was, do I sell my place or do I rent it out? Because in a way, that's my backup plan. My place is kind of my retirement.
Mm.
So there are a lot of big decisions necessary, but I decided, I'm gonna keep my place. I'm renting it out, but I'm moving to Pennsylvania where I have help, and it's a lot less expensive to operate a business here because I am going to do this. I'm going to make this a success, and you're going to love my new inventions too. By the way, they're coming soon. They're coming quarter 2, maybe quarter 1. So
Ooh, I can't wait. You're gonna have to come back on the podcast and make this like your big announcement. Will be
okay.
like, so got to listen to the lessons from the tank podcast to get. but no, but no, that's exciting. I mean, do you think again, as you're into this entrepreneurial journey, I mean, is there anything more valuable than the tenacity that you have? I mean, can you think of something? Because like I said, we're not that smart. Shark Tank, like, if people think like, oh, you got on Shark Tank and you must be like spectacular. Like, no, we're just a bunch of knuckleheads who got lucky. Well, I got lucky. You was a force of will to get on the show, but um,
That's true.
we're not brilliant people. We're not, a lot of times we're not all that smart, but we just happen to get on a TV show. But as far as being a successful entrepreneur, I just can't think of anything that is more valuable than the tenacity to say no is just no right now. It's not no forever.
I believe that you're right. I think tenacity is number one because you're going to be wearing so many hats
Hmm.
and you have to learn every aspect of the business. I mean, I pretty much do everything. I outsource a couple of things like my distribution and my accounting and bookkeeping and things like that. But, you know, you better be tenacious because you're going to have to figure out how to do distribution, how to source your product and manufacture it, how to get it into the United States if it's made abroad. Just there, you have to have tenacity and you have to have a lot of energy because you're the one at the end of the day who's in charge and you have to get it done.
Absolutely. And that tenacity comes from passion. And I can tell just from talking to you and seeing you on the show, your tenacity comes from a passion for what you're doing. And that is also again, those things are up there, and they're so connected. Because if you don't have passion, it's very hard to be tenacious. It comes across very hollow if you're just like, oh, I'm doing this so I don't go bankrupt. That's completely different than I love what I'm doing. I love my product, and I'm going to make it successful because it's my baby.
Absolutely. Because, the thing is, for me, my reward is that I hear that maybe my product helps someone. And I had a testimonial from someone with rheumatoid arthritis the other day, and he said that this product gave him his power back. Well, that motivates me. That makes me want to continue to move forward and get the word out there. And, I've always been in sales, and I can't sell anything I don't believe in. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. I am passionate about my product because I know that I need it, and people don't know they need it until they use it once and they're caught without it at the grocery store. Then they'll come back and they'll buy a ton more. But it's fun for me because it does make people's lives a little bit easier. And so it makes me motivated to wake up in the morning and to continue to move my business forward. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm tired a lot because I do everything, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, Kim, I have to tell you, whenever I'm feeling down, I'm going to come back and watch this podcast just to get a little bit of your energy and your passion back into my life. So, but thank you so much for being on. Tell us where we can buy Click and Carry.
Sure. So right now you can buy it at clickandcarry.com or amazon.com. I'm on Kroger.com, and I'm onboarding this week with Lowe's.com, Bye Bye
Wow.
Baby. It's in Meyer grocery stores starting in about a week or two. I just sent out a shipment, and I plan on taking over the world. So hopefully you'll see it in every grocery store and Target and Walmart very soon. I
Yes.
have a virtual trade show next week, so I'll report back and let you know who said yes.
Yeah, for all the Target and Walmart buyers that listen to the show, you need to get Click and Carry on your shelves. So,
Yep.
so,
Yep.
so anyway, Kim, thank you so much. And I definitely think that we are going to have more to talk about in a future episode. I can't wait to see how everything's going with you. And good luck with your move to Pennsylvania, out to my home state here. So,
Well, I look forward to meeting you in person, and I had a blast today. So thank you for this opportunity to talk to you.
my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Lessons from the Tank. If you got value from today's podcast, we encourage you to subscribe to the podcast so you're notified when a new episode is posted. If you'd like to support our podcast, we encourage you to review it and share it with a friend. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode.